At my brother's engagement, Dad handed him the deed to the apartment, for which I had paid $30,000, not counting rent. "Our gift for you," he said. Then turned to me, "Move out now." So I took everything, but it wasn't the end. My name is Monica, and I'm 32 years old. I work as a corporate account manager at a big sports equipment company downtown. It's a decent job, pays the bills, and I'm good at what I do. But this story isn't really about my work. It's about my family and how they screwed me over in the worst possible way. I need to tell you about my living situation first. 5 years ago, when I was 27, my parents offered me their apartment. Well, not exactly offered, they wanted me to rent it from them. The apartment belonged to my dad's grandmother originally, and he inherited it years back. The place was close to my office, walking distance actually, which was perfect for me. "Monica, we'd been thinking," my mom said back then. "You could live in Grandma's old place. We'll only charge you 3/4 of what you'd pay anywhere else in the neighborhood." I wasn't surprised they wanted rent from me. That's just how my parents are, especially when it comes to me versus my twin brother Jake. We were born on the same day, but you'd never know it from how they treat us. Jake has always been their golden child, their precious heir, their everything. When we were kids, they'd buy him expensive toys for his birthday while I got books from the clearance section. When we graduated high school, they threw him a big party with all his friends. I got a congratulations card. When Jake wanted to go to college, they paid for everything. When I wanted to go, they told me I could take out student loans like everyone else. So yeah, paying rent to my own parents? Totally normal in my family. The apartment was in rough shape when I moved in. The floors were this gross old carpet that probably hadn't been cleaned in decades. The walls were this awful yellow color that made everything look sick. The bathroom was falling apart, and don't even get me started on the kitchen. But the location was perfect, so I took it. Over the next 5 years, I basically rebuilt that place from scratch. I discussed every single change with my mom first, just like she wanted. I ripped out the old carpet and put in beautiful laminate flooring in the living room. I painted every wall in the place. I replaced all the plumbing because half the pipes were leaking. I bought a new dishwasher, a new refrigerator, a new stove, even new electrical outlets throughout the apartment. I furnished the whole place with my own money. My parents would stop by sometimes to check on their investment, as my dad liked to say. They'd walk around nodding approvingly at all the work I'd done. "You're really fixing this place up nice," my mom would say. "It's going to be worth so much more when you're done." I didn't mind the work. I actually enjoyed making the place my own. It felt good to have somewhere that was mine, even if I was paying rent for it. Then, about a year ago, everything changed. I was 31 and feeling pretty settled in my life. I had my job, my apartment, my routine. That's when my parents dropped a bomb on me. "Monica, we need to talk," my dad said when they came over for one of their visits. He looked serious, which was never a good sign. "What's up?" I asked, setting down my coffee. "We're in trouble with the mortgage on this place," my mom said. "We owe the bank $30,000, and we can't pay it. The bank is threatening to foreclose." I stared at them. "So what are you asking me to do?" "We need you to pay the $30,000, my dad said. "We know it's a lot, but think of it as an investment. This apartment will be yours someday anyway." "Will be mine," I repeated. "Of course," my mom said. "You're our daughter. We're not going to leave you with nothing. Jake will get the house when we're gone, and you'll get this apartment. You've put so much work into it already." I had some savings built up from years of working and living relatively cheaply. $30,000 was most of what I had, but if it meant I'd eventually own the place I'd been fixing up for years, it seemed worth it. "You promised this apartment will be mine?" I asked. "Absolutely," my dad said. "We're not going to forget everything you've done for this place. You've made it your home." So I did it. I transferred $30,000 to my parents to pay off their mortgage debt. I trusted them completely. They were my parents, after all. Why would they lie to me about something like this? I kept living in the apartment, kept paying rent, kept maintaining the place. Everything seemed normal. My parents never mentioned the money again, and I assumed that meant everything was taken care of. The apartment would be mine eventually, and I'd already invested so much in it that it felt like mine anyway. 2 weeks ago, Jake called me out of the blue. I was at work, finishing up some paperwork when my phone rang. "Hey Monica, I've got some great news," he said, and I could hear the excitement in his voice. "What's up?" I asked, though I was only half paying attention. I was trying to wrap up a proposal for a client. "Sarah and I are getting engaged. We're having the engagement party in 2 weeks at her parents' house. You're invited, obviously." I dropped my pen. Sarah Martinez had been Jake's girlfriend for about 2 years now. I knew her really well because we'd all gone to the same high school. She was in our class, Actually a pretty nice girl back then. Smart, funny, down to earth. That's amazing, Jake. I'm so happy for you guys, I said, and I meant it. Despite everything with my parents, I genuinely cared about my brother. Sarah's great. You two are perfect for each other. Thanks, sis, it means a lot to hear you say that. I know Mom and Dad are over the moon about it. Of course they were. Their golden boy was getting married to a nice girl from a good family. This was probably the best news they'd gotten all year. I'm really excited for you both, I said. I'll be there, wouldn't miss it. Great, I'll text you the details, love you, Monica. Love you too, Jake. I hung up the phone feeling genuinely happy for the first time in a while. Jake might be my parents' favorite, but he was still my brother. We'd grown up together, shared a room when we were little, fought over toys and TV shows like normal siblings. He wasn't responsible for how our parents treated us differently. The 2 weeks passed quickly. I even went shopping for a nice dress for the engagement party. I wanted to look good for Jake and Sarah. I picked out something classy but not too fancy, didn't want to upstage the bride-to-be. The party was at Sarah's parents' house in a nice suburb about 30 minutes from downtown. When I arrived, there were already about 40 people there. Sarah's family, some of our old high school friends, relatives I recognized from various family gatherings over the years. Monica, Sarah rushed over to me as soon as I walked in. She looked radiant, absolutely glowing with happiness. I'm so glad you could make it. Congratulations, I said, giving her a big hug. I'm so happy for you and Jake. You guys are going to be great together. Thank you, that means so much coming from you. You know Jake better than anyone. I found Jake by the food table, talking to some of his college friends. He looked handsome in his navy blue suit, his hair perfectly styled. Our parents had definitely gotten their money's worth on that expensive haircut they paid for last month. The party was going well. People were laughing, eating, drinking, sharing stories about Jake and Sarah. I was actually having a good time, catching up with old friends and enjoying the celebration. Then, about an hour into the party, my dad cleared his throat loudly and called for everyone's attention. Excuse me, everyone, he said, his voice carrying across the room. If I could have your attention for just a moment. The room quieted down, and all eyes turned to my father. He was standing in the center of the living room, my mom beside him, both of them beaming with pride. Margaret and I wanted to take a moment to say how proud we are of our son Jake, my dad continued. He's always been such a wonderful boy, and seeing him so happy with Sarah just fills our hearts with joy. People murmured their agreement, smiling and nodding. This was nice, I thought, a little sentimental, but nice. We have a very special engagement gift for Jake, my dad said, reaching into his jacket pocket. Something that shows just how much we love him and how proud we are of the man he's become. He pulled out an envelope and handed it to Jake. My brother's face lit up, but he didn't look surprised. Actually, he looked like he'd been expecting this. Go ahead, son, open it up. Jake opened the envelope and pulled out some official-looking documents. He glanced at them quickly, then looked up at our parents with a huge smile. Mom, Dad, this is incredible, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Thank you so much, I can't believe you're doing this. What is it? Someone called out from the crowd. My mom stepped forward, practically glowing with pride. It's the deed to an apartment downtown. The one that Jake's sister has been living in for the past few years. We're giving it to Jake and Sarah as a wedding gift. The room erupted in congratulations and applause. People were clapping, calling out their approval, telling Jake how lucky he was to have such generous parents. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My vision went a little blurry around the edges, and I had to grab onto the back of a chair to steady myself. The apartment, my apartment. The one I'd been paying rent on for 5 years. The one I'd completely renovated with my own money. The one I'd paid $30,000 to save from foreclosure just a year ago. The one my parents had promised would be mine someday. They were giving it to Jake. This is such a wonderful gift, Sarah was saying, looking at the documents in Jake's hands. We're so grateful, we've been talking about finding our own place, and this is just perfect. Jake deserves it, my dad said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. He's getting married, starting a family soon hopefully. He and Sarah need their own place to build their life together. I looked at my parents, hoping to catch their eye, hoping for some kind of explanation or apology. But when they saw me looking, they just smiled and shrugged, like this was the most natural thing in the world. That's when my Aunt Linda, my mom's